in any case, Hermione Danger is her name. And she's got this I retweeted the top of her thread. So you can go over to my Twitter feed if you're not familiar with hers and find this. And she starts out, she's a black woman. She says, how my boyfriend got pulled over by police for giving a beggar at 7-Eleven change. My hands are still shaking, she writes, and I'm sort of chain smoking, so there may be typos. You all got to deal with it. So my boyfriend went to drop off his friend at the airport last night. He went to the Newport News Airport, which is like 45 minutes from our place in Norfolk. He left like 10:30 p.m. Dropped him off, texted me he's on his way home, and stopped at a 7-Eleven in Virginia Beach. When he went back outside, apparently there was a man out there begging for change, which is typical of 7-Eleven behavior. My boo, my boyfriend, gave him 50 cents before getting back in his car and getting on the interstate. As soon as he gets on the interstate, he sees those blue lights behind him and pulls over. Cop comes up to his car. Boyfriend had put his wallet on his dashboard and got out his license, but his phone was in his pocket. So the cop comes up to the window and says, I saw you at 7-Eleven, give that man something. They've been complaining about this man saying he has drugs, blah, blah, blah. So the cop runs his license and comes back, and he's all, where's your insurance information? And part of this got clipped off in the print, but basically he says, we just bought new insurance and they haven't even issued our cards yet, and we don't have a printer. He didn't think to print the temporary cards at work. So the only way to get the insurance would be to go back on his phone, to get on his phone. So he tells the cop this. So now the cop wants him out of the car and put his hands on his head, which he does with his back turned to the officer. So the cop tells him to pull his phone out of his pocket. He tells him to do this while pointing a gun at his back. So now my man is freaking out. He is shook. He says, officer, I don't feel comfortable reaching in my pocket with you pointing your gun at me. My phone is black. You can get my wallet out of my pocket.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
The moment over on Twitter is labeled how this woman's boyfriend got pulled over by police for giving a man change. African-American, drives a friend to the airport. He's coming home. He stops at a 7-Eleven. There's a homeless guy outside panhandling. He gives the guy 50 cents, drives away. The cops pull him over when he hits the highway, Virginia Beach cops, and say, you know, we saw you give that guy money, and he's known to be a drug dealer, and therefore we're going to search you. And the cop says, your car smells like weed. Now, there's no way this guy's got weed in his car, right? And he's got his phone in his pocket. He put his wallet on the dashboard. And so, the cop runs his card, his driver's license, comes back, says, where's your insurance? He says, I just got my insurance renewed yesterday. I don't have the card. I didn't print it out at the office. I should have, but I can show you on my phone. Right? A lot of us have an app for our insurance. You know, Geico offers it, Progressive offers it, you know, everybody offers it. So he's like, I can show you on my phone, but my phone is in my pocket. He's afraid to reach into his pocket because there's a cop with a gun on him. So the cop says, get out of your car. And then so the cop tells him to get out of the car and put his hands on his head, which he does. I'm now quoting from, how do you say it again, Sean? Hermione Danger. So now the cop wants him to get out of the car and put his hands on his head, which he does with his back turned to the officer, per the officer. So the cop tells him to pull a phone out of his pocket. He tells him to do this while pointing his gun at his back. So now my man is freaking out. He is shook. He says, officer, I don't feel comfortable reaching in my pocket with you pointing your gun at me. My phone is black. You can get my wallet out of my pocket. He's so scared he accidentally says wallet instead of phone. So, Hermione writes, so Officer Spaz-a-Lot starts screaming at him because of his tongue twist. He says, you're now saying, you said phone, now you're saying wallet. Which one is it? Like he didn't see the boyfriend's whole wallet on the dashboard when he went to get his license in the first place. So my baby starts crying, y'all. 31-year-old man straight bawling because he's terrified that if he reaches for his pocket, he's going to get shot. And the cop keeps yelling at him to just do it, never lowering his damn gun. He's yelling, what are you crying for? Are you guilty of something? And it probably would have been a long cycle of more yelling and more crying if more cop cars and the sheriff's car didn't pull up behind him. So 3 other cops come up, and the sheriff. There's a woman cop with her male partner, a third cop who came in his own squad car, and the sheriff, who is the only person in the scene with any sense of duty for his job. And part of it's cut off again. He doesn't reach himself, and so, you know, so a cop takes his phone out of his pocket for him and hands it to the original douche cop. When the cop who got the phone hands it off, the original cop has the nerve to say, I wasn't pointing my gun at him, I had my taser out. He says to them, officer, it was a gun. I know what an issued taser looks like because it looks like, you know, insert description here. When the sheriff confirmed he was right, he went, yeah, that officer had his gun on me. Officer, I'm not going to argue with you about it. So at this point, I've been blowing up his phone because I told you all he left the house at 10:30 for a 40-minute drive, and it's now 2 a.m. The whole time he'd been begging the officer to just let him call me and tell me where he was and what was going on. He even asked if he could call me if he unlocked his phone. Finally, after everyone ignored him, the sheriff let him use his phone to text me. I screwed up because I kept calling him, so he went to text me. I went, wait, he's calling me. And the original officer yanked his phone and threw it to the dashboard of the squad car. So the 4 officers go to the original officer's car and have a kiki while waiting on a damn canine unit to come search my boyfriend's drugless car. They also breathalyzed him because giving homeless men change obviously means you're drunk. Cops leave him sitting on the side of the road cuffed. Only the sheriff would sit with him. The sheriff says, I can understand why you're so afraid. You're a young black man, and I'm sure you're not a bad kid. You're a good guy. Yeah, dude, tell that to your effing friends. So finally, the canine unit gets there. They start going through his car, hurling stuff out of the car, throwing things everywhere. Big-ass Fido taking up all that little-ass Chevy Cruze trying to come up with some treats. Nothing. They don't find a damn thing. They all sat there for over an hour waiting on Kojo to get there and bust this black man's business wide open, they thought. On a third of his possessions, they literally throw his whole cooler from the trunk somewhere and he can't even find it. They uncuff him, give him his license, blah, blah, no apologies, no apology. Just left the man with a dirty car and sore wrists. They only even loosened his cuffs a little bit after the sheriff got there. The sheriff, though, for his credit, gave my man his info, told him that if they were in his jurisdiction, that he wouldn't have done anything wrong and to call him. So finally, he was able to call me. At this point, all I got was a frantic, jumbled, I got pulled over and they're searching my car text. So I'd literally gotten in my car to search precincts after an hour had gone by and I hadn't heard anything. He called me before I made it to the Chesapeake City jail. And, you know, the story goes on from there. He said he'd never been more terrified in his life, and this is a man whose car has been shot at before. He said he just knew that when that officer's gun was pointed at his back, he was going to die. And I am so mad. It's that mad you get when you're powerless. There was literally nothing any of us could have done. And that, by the way, that sense of powerlessness is the source of most rage. And, you know, at every level. I mean, I think back on my own life, you know, the times when, you know, I'm dealing with a bureaucrat or I'm dealing with a business partner who you know, won't give me information and I'm feeling powerless. And that produces rage, right? I mean, it's just this is a normal response. So have you, you know, if you're black, have you had these kind of interactions that you would like to share with people? Give us a shout, 202-808-9925.